did you at some point think music could be your main career?
I mean, there is definitely challenges, I would say, because the base of learning music itself is very, let's say, restrictive for Western music. I always had the interest and the confusion of, having a career in finance or going towards music. Right before COVID, actually, that was the turning point, I would say, also to come to Germany.
Amit Nayak also performed when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to Munich.
Reaching out to a lot more Europeans as such to, spread Indian music is something that I have in mind.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Kama Talks. In today's episode, we have a special guest. He is a music professional in Hindustani classical music as an instrumentalist. Not only he pursues his passion in music, but also he has pursued masters in business administration in Germany. He came to Germany around 3 years before, and today he is with us to give us insights on how to follow passion while studying in Germany, but also while working in Germany. So let us welcome Amit to this podcast.
Thank you so much. Really happy to be here and be a part of this.
Firstly, how are you?
Good so far. It's been, not a very sunny weather today, but good time to be around here. And also, like I said, really happy to be a part of this podcast and reach out to a lot more people about the experience.
Firstly, what comes to my mind is why Germany?
It's actually a very interesting question because not many professionals from the field of, let's say, non-technical choose a technical country as such. But in my, let's say, later years of college, during my bachelor's, I had a cousin who moved to Stuttgart for his master's. And I always had the thought that, it is very nice to pursue higher studies somewhere outside of India. So did a little bit of research, and then I found out that Germany is a good option with regards to education and also with regards to culture, because it reaches out to a lot more people in terms of music, in terms of art. So, UK was also one of my options, but somehow I felt it would be better to go to a non-English speaking country. So, it is lesser number of people with such talent, and then it would be easy for me to reach out to more people that way. So that was the reason I chose Germany. And then also Munich being an international city, I think that was one of the options I had.
Okay, that's really nice to hear. Going back to probably early days of your music career or start of your music journey, what sparked passion for you in music?
Well, I think having the cultural background at home itself was a big advantage. So my grandfather was a musician as well. And one of the, let's say, most recognized musicians in All India Radio, also one of the musicians of the courtesans of the Mysore Palace. So somewhere there was always music on my maternal side and also on paternal side, because they hail from Udupi, and there is a lot of cultural background there as well of bhajans every evening at the temple. So throughout the time, I think I was raised practically listening to only more of Bhimsen Joshi, more of Lata Mangeshkar, such classical or filmy music as such, early days. And this sort of already sparked some interest in me to pursue some form of music, though I was very young to know what to pursue. And my father used to also learn vocal classes from Pandit V.M. Nagaraj, who was my first guru. And that was when I got introduced to music in, let's say, a professional form as such. And that was the beginning of my music journey.
Okay, so basically at roughly around what age did you start learning music?
Learning formally at the age of 3, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it was always within the first few years, or let's say like 2.5, when I was always playing like manjira or tala to
Uh-huh.
bhajans and everything. So my parents recognized that, this boy has some talent in him, which we can push towards pursuing music as such. So early age, I would say early start was when I was 3 years old.
3 years old. Okay, that's at a very young age,
Of course.
definitely. Where there's some challenges, I see that a lot of people start something at a very young age, but somehow at some point they stop it. Even now, you are still continuing it, and currently is a professional in this matter. So, how did it work out for you? How did you keep yourself constantly motivated to learn new?
I think that's a challenge for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we get into studies or when we get
Mm-hmm.
into our professional career. Somewhere we kind of deviate with the focus that we have. I think I would give huge credit to my parents
Mm-hmm.
for that matter, because they always were constant, and they were taking me to classes, taking
Mm-hmm.
me to other performances to keep me inspired. But also with respect to sticking to one instrument, that was a big challenge for me, because
Mm-hmm.
mandolin, when I was growing up, was, let's say, a cool instrument because it was a guitar of my age or my size at
Mm-hmm.
that point. But after the years, I felt maybe I can switch to guitar, maybe I can switch to other instruments. And a little bit of learning I tried with the other instrument as well,
Mm-hmm.
but never found the comfort that I had with mandolin, because I had good training, or let's say more comfort in playing the instrument for the longest. So that sort of motivated me to stick to
Mm-hmm.
mandolin and play different forms of music on it. And also the people around me. So
Mm-hmm.
I always was surrounded by, let's say, people who are classical musicians,
Mm-hmm.
or Western classical musicians, or jazz musicians. So that kind of motivated me to explore also different forms
Mm-hmm.
rather than just stick to one classical form as such,
Mm-hmm.
which has kept me going so far, I would say.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Did you also try out some other different instruments? What was your experience like?
I would say there is no formal training as
Mm-hmm.
such, but I can play the harmonium.
Okay.
I can play tabla. I can play a little bit of keyboard, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of guitar, and there is a little bit of exploration of percussive instruments.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
djembe, congos, all of these are. If you learn, let's say, one solid instrument, I think it's easy to explore other instruments as such. So that helps me to, explore rhythm instruments that way.
Okay. So this was also one of my questions that comes to my mind. Is it very easy to learn other instruments once you learn the basic of probably Hindustan classical music or Carnatic music? Is it easy to also learn some other new instruments, or does it again need several years of practice? How
Well,
is it as a musician?
I would say, like, it depends on the type and
Mm-hmm.
form of instrument. For
Mm-hmm.
example, if you, let's say, categorize it in string instrument,
Mm-hmm.
then it would be a bit similar, if not completely same, because different forms of the instrument itself gives a different flavor of the music. So violin is fretless, so that is, it gives you a more sliding notes based
Mm-hmm.
music, whereas guitar, mandolin, all these have frets, so we play based on notes rather than slide. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
classical music here has slides as well, but the way that we play or perform is a bit more different. But like you said, the base would remain the same.
Okay.
So classical music, or let's say Indian classical music, that way has a very strong heritage of
Mm-hmm.
compositions,
Mm-hmm.
which we learn and we try to play in these different instruments.
Okay.
So
Were there any pivotal moments or milestones that you could fondly remember in your childhood or very early in your music career?
I think so. There were a couple of instances where I would get the opportunity to perform with my guru, Pandit
Mm-hmm.
Vishwanath Nakod.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, he is a very renowned tabla artist. So, before I could actually have formal learning of mandolin, I always had gurus who were teaching me Indian classical or Hindustani
Mm-hmm.
music as vocalists or as
Okay.
tabla artists.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of prepared me to be ad hoc about how to learn and
Okay.
reproduce the music. So performing with him, also getting the opportunity to perform at All India Radio,
Mm-hmm.
and accompanying him in different shows. He's also a vocalist, a renowned A high grade vocalist in All India Radio Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
So those were my earliest, let's say, memories as a performer I had with him to perform and reach out to more people with the music.
Okay. So, as far as I see, you are currently working as a professional in business administration in Germany. Is it easy or tough to follow also music along with your professional life?
I mean, there is definitely challenges, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not something that it is related in any sense.
Correct.
But I try my best to keep both aspects of it alive,
Mm-hmm.
because throughout the day there are thoughts that I have about music, even when I'm working, and sometimes when I'm practicing I have thoughts about work. So there's always a correlation for me
Mm-hmm.
personally, and I try to spend as much time possible during weekends to
Yeah.
improve and learn some
Mm-hmm.
new stuff that I would like to perform or would like to learn just in general. So that is something that I'm trying to balance with. So weekdays, maybe after work hours, I perform or I plan to learn something, and most of the time in the weekend, I try to perform or learn again.
One more thing that comes to my mind is as a musician, I also see that you are already a part of the Raga Collective band. Probably when you learn something such as business administration, does it in some manner help you to be a part of bands or build some bands like this?
Of course,
Mhm.
definitely. I think this formal education is something that
Mhm.
most of us as musicians lack, because if we are performing as solo artists,
Mhm.
or let's say duo with one more artist, it is just two people
Correct.
communicating to and fro. But when it comes as a band or when it comes as a group, it is multiple people and multiple opinions that you need to consider and bring together. So definitely a challenging job, I would say,
Mhm.
and almost as good as a full-time job, managing a band and bringing everybody together. But like you said rightly, this formal education through business administration or the MBA that I have,
Mhm.
it helps me to gauge what is the best decisions to make on behalf of a band or on behalf of a group of people,
Mhm.
and how to bring people on board about a specific idea. So as like I said, as musicians, sometimes it gets very difficult for us to convey certain things,
Correct.
and it is only, let's say, a thought of progressive nature that we should have in general.
Mhm.
But when it comes to a group of 8 or 9 people in a band, everybody has their own opinions. So
Correct.
somewhere I think
Correct.
this formal education helps us to channelize that in
Mhm.
the right way, and go ahead and take the band forward.
Okay. Maybe coming back to the point that you first did MBA in Munich.
Yeah.
Why MBA? You already said why Germany. Yeah, how what inspired you to come to Germany?
Well, I think the thought of MBA was something that I had pretty much in later part of
Mhm.
my bachelor's. So I thought maybe I should get a bit of work experience first and then think about master's or MBA
Mhm.
course. And since I'd already worked a little bit in India, I had a good idea of what a career
Mhm.
would look like after the MBA.
Okay.
So it helped me to understand what are the kind of challenges I could overcome with an MBA,
Mhm.
and also focus towards a career in finance,
Mhm.
which is why I ended up choosing the MBA course and then coming here to Germany.
Okay. Did you at some point think music could be your main career or?
Definitely,
Mhm.
definitely, yes. Right before COVID, actually, that was
Mhm.
the turning point, I would say, also to come to Germany, because it was getting more routine that we perform quite often. I would perform solo shows or I would perform with other artists in and around India. And when COVID happened, fortunately, I was employed as well,
Okay.
and I knew that it was going to be a difficult time for musicians, because we are more confined to one space at home rather than our creative
Mhm.
thought of going out and performing to people. And I was given quite a lot of opportunities to perform online as well, to reach out to people through Facebook Live. But that is something that I was very restricted with, because I felt I'm the only person on screen. I can see myself. So it felt like, okay, I'm not really reaching out to audience. And also with respect to career as such, I felt that since I've already, learned and invested this much time in a non-musical profession, that is something that I would definitely be thoughtful about, to pursue that career in finance as well. So I always had the interest and the confusion of, having a career in finance or going towards music. So somewhere I had to make the choice of sticking to a good career in finance as well. But I think I was fortunate enough to also be surrounded by musicians to support and go ahead with also balancing a music career.
Okay. Another thing that comes to my mind is when you came to Germany, did your professors or your classmates react differently when they got to know that you are also a musician and very skilled musician? So, did it benefit you in any aspects?
Well, I think the performance aspect of it, not much,
Mm-hmm.
because at the university they did not have that much creativity as such
Okay.
to for me to actually showcase my music talent. But I think in terms of me being a musician, helped was being more socially open, so I could connect and talk to a lot more people that way. My friends from the university have attended some of the concerts here in Munich, and it has been, they said it's a, enjoyable experience for them, and something unique, because
Mm-hmm.
it is a mixed crowd of people coming from different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that, they are getting to experience the Indian music aspect of it here somewhere in another part of the world altogether, in the most, let's say, raw form as such. And we don't have such confined or one way of
Mm-hmm.
performing here, because we are collaborating and having a cross collaboration with different artists.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting for them to see how it works, because they have, let's say, some knowledge of music from their home country. And when we try to blend that with Indian music, that seems like a new genre for them, and they really like it, and they have been appreciative about it.
Okay, that brings to my next question about the Raga Collective. We already spoke a little bit about
Yeah.
this already, but how was this formed? What were the initial stages of this, and how is it going on now?
So we arrived all together, a thought that, we have been performing here, and it is something that we want to pursue as, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
a semi-professional way, or a
Mm-hmm.
professional band as such. Before that, we were all collaborating just for different events, coming together, performing, and then going back. But
So maybe to stop here,
of course,
basically before this, when you came to Germany, you all of you who are part of this band were performing individually, and
yes,
that has its own downsides
yeah,
because you cannot probably improve on your music or collaborate to get something better, or
yeah.
yeah, so that's when you decided. Okay.
Yes. So even before that, I would say we had like our first performance
Mm-hmm.
as a group
Okay.
together in one of the Indian organizations here in Munich.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when we realized that, most of us from this group are professional musicians, and we have been pursuing music for a long time. So it would be really nice to have something more professional to present to people, rather than just coming together and performing for fun. So of course it is fun as well, but we felt that, the polished version of music that we can offer
Mm-hmm.
would be something more professional, and that is when we decided to form a semi-professional band called the Raga Collective.
Okay.
And that is going good so far. I would say we have been reaching out to quite a lot of people in and around Europe now,
Mm-hmm.
and we have really supportive German musicians in and around Munich who have been supporting us as a band, and also with our music, because we are not focused on one specific style of music. We cater to different audience, and we are also very open to collaborating with different forms and styles of music here. So it has been going great so far, and we hope that, it will go in a more positive aspect and a bigger manner in the future now.
Yeah, definitely. I also visited one of your concerts,
Yeah.
and it was pretty awesome to be a part of it, wherein I saw not only Indians, people from different countries enjoyed performance. So I am
Thank
pretty
you.
sure of it. What in what intrigates me is about when you work with Germans or people from other countries who are also musicians. How does the creative process look like?
I think for that question, like the base of learning music itself is very, let's say, restrictive for Western music, because
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, they have something called a sheet or notation based music. And for us, it is more of composition and more of creative learning that we have. So in Hindustani classical music that I have learned, our guru would probably give us one phrase of a raga or
Mm-hmm.
one small portion of it on which we have to do our homework
Mm-hmm.
and improvise and bring it back and perform. So we were always more ad hoc, and even when performing with new artists in India, for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
very ad hoc on stage, we would just have sign language as
Okay.
exchanging of ideas, I would say, collaboratively. But coming here, I think it also gave us the new perspective of structured music
Mm-hmm.
that we see here, which is something that I really appreciate, because always being unstructured and being ad hoc on stage does
Mm-hmm.
not work well sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me to kind of understand how to build on a specific structure before actually going on stage, knowing that, okay, this is going to be a 3 minute composition. This is going to be the order of the performance. We are 8 of us on stage. One by one, we perform each section of the song.
Mm-hmm.
So it really helped to, improvise as well in our own confined time space,
Mm-hmm.
but it also helped to keep the structure alive. So
Okay. So it is basically enriching this cross-cultural learnings.
definitely, definitely, yeah.
If you had to choose one memorable performance of the Raga Collective, which would it be?
Well, I would say all of them so far has
Mm-hmm.
been memorable, because every show that we're performing, we're bringing something new to the audience. But the recent performance that we had at Hanover
Mm-hmm.
for one of the, let's say, big events which was hosted there, it was a firework festival
Mm-hmm.
organized by the start of Hanover, and they had it in a massive scale, and we could reach to a completely non-Indian organizing committee and event, to a lot of people who, let's say, were listening to Indian music for the first time. And that kind of had a good memory, because we could make people sing a little bit of Indian music along
Okay.
with
Mm-hmm.
our performance. So we try to keep it interactive. So we teach a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
what we are going to perform, and one of our favorite songs of the band, we try to teach them,
Mm-hmm.
and they were pretty reciprocative. Though they could not, it
Mm-hmm.
was pretty last minute planning that we did, that
Okay.
we should teach them and we should
Mm-hmm.
perform it. It was pretty interesting to see them reciprocate. So
So the audience here, the Western audience, also enjoy Indian music and
definitely,
appreciate it. Okay, that's very nice to know.
yeah.
Did in any way living in Germany influence your music style or perceptions?
I would say yes, because I have been collaborating with a couple of musicians here
Mm-hmm.
who are Germans, who are Europeans, and also different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I am still not completely exposed to German music as such. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I really enjoy the music that is being performed at Oktoberfest
Mm-hmm.
or at different folk festivals here,
Mm-hmm.
and try to pick up some elements of that and apply that into my performance as well. But as a musician, I think I'm open to learning more of such German based music.
Mm-hmm.
So that would help me to also kind of, connect with more German audience in terms of performance. But I really enjoy, like I said, the Oktoberfest music. That's something which is groovy, that's
Mm-hmm.
something which is very folk style. And then it keeps me really, it just keeps me happy during the entire performance when I watch a band. So
Okay. Did your band or yourself try any German music or song anywhere on the stage until now?
we have been trying a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we perform one of the German songs here
Mm-hmm.
with our band as well. So I would definitely recommend you to come watch our show to know which song
Yes.
to,
Mm-hmm.
have the experience of it. But we try our
Mm-hmm.
own style
Okay.
of the German song.
Okay. And if you have to basically point out to one difference in the music or the music industry itself, or the way things are performed with respect to India and Germany, what would it be?
I would not say it's a big difference as such, but like I said, the way that we structure compositions is something that is a bit unique here, I would say, because they are more of sheet based and more of structured learning, like I said. And in Indian classical music as well, it is composition based and scale or raga based. But it would definitely be a standing out point because for us it is more creative approach, and here it is more structured approach. So that is one thing I would say as a difference that would stand out.
Okay, that's really nice to know, because as non-musicians, we do not ever have the understanding or what goes behind and
Yeah.
how what are the differences. For us, more or less, we like some genres and some music, and then we have fun. But it's nice to get these insights from you. I also see that you have received a lot of accolades, Best Solo Instrumentalist, GSB Puraskar. Does any one of these accolades means the most to you?
Again, these are just, I would say, on paper,
Okay.
something which would help to establish myself as a musician, but more on being an independent musician as such is something that I would consider as a unique thing, because there are very less mandolin players in the beginning of classical music, and also very less Hindustani mandolin players, because mandolin is considered mostly related to Carnatic music because of Vidwan U. Srinivas, who popularized it in India. And it being a Spanish instrument, being performed in Indian classical music is a very rare combination as such. So that way, I think as an instrumentalist itself, being recognized amongst the music circle is something that I really feel is a prestigious moment for me. But if I had to pick one, then it would be when I was part of a group of performers in India, and then we performed at IIT Sarang, where we had the opportunity, and after winning the Battle of Bands competition, we had the opportunity to open or be an opening act for a couple of bands. So Benny Dayal and the Punctuation, and we had the opportunity to open for them as the opening act. So that was something I think was a unique and prestigious moment for me, and also for the entire band. Of course, we put in quite a lot of hard work right before the performance to make it happen. So
There are two questions that comes out of your previous answer. Which is the largest crowd that you have ever performed to?
well, I would say it might be one of the largest would be the IIT Sarang,
Okay.
where we had about 3,000, maybe 3,500 people. But also we performed quite a lot in Bangalore and in and around India. And one of the other festivals as such that we performed was Sunday Soul Sante. So that also had about maybe 2,500 to 3,000 people. So it is quite a big number for us to be performing for such big audience and reaching out with our unique style of music.
Will there always be jitters when you go on the stage when you see such a huge crowd, or are you already used to it?
I
Seeing
mean, it
crowd?
is of course a jitter moment for us on stage, because seeing such a big audience itself is really joyful. But we are so focused on performing sometimes that we forget that there is so many people around us, and we are just enjoying on stage, communicating between ourselves. But of course, it is a very, I would say, confusing as well as surprising moment to see that many people come and enjoy our performance.
Yeah. One more thing is, you already mentioned that you started with Hindustani classical music. Currently, you are also exploring Carnatic music. What inspired you to start with Carnatic music?
So this would be correlated to like the heritage of music I explained. So my grandfather was into Carnatic music from early days, and that kind of had an impact on my learning as such. But initially, when I picked up mandolin and started learning from my first guru, Pandit V.M. Nagraj, he was more focused on Hindustani classical music, and he used to sing Hindustani and teach harmonium and other instruments at home. So early years, I think that was the reason I stuck on very much to Hindustani music, and all the gurus I have learned so far are all from Hindustani background. I would say around 2018,
Mhm.
2019 is when I got in touch with Vidwan U. Rajesh, who is the brother of Padmashri Vidwan
Uh-huh.
U. Srinivas, who is also a mandolin legend. And I always wanted to have a guru who actually plays an instrument that I play, right?
Okay.
Because then you will know what is the right way of
Mhm.
playing. And a funny story is that all the years of my learning from vocal teachers or from different instrumental gurus, I figured out that the way that I've been performing and learning for about 19, 20 years, it has a lot of difference from how actually it is being
Mhm.
played as an instrument, the mandolin. So I think that is also one of the reasons I wanted to, change my way of playing and, something different from what I've been learning for 19 years, which sparked me the interest towards Carnatic music. And also, since Carnatic music is quite rich in compositions,
Mhm.
I was always trying to collaborate with Carnatic musicians to
Mhm.
understand what kind of exchange we can have between Hindustani and Carnatic. So this was my main reason that I wanted to learn a little
Mhm.
bit of Carnatic to be able to understand the
Mhm.
style of music and to also change my style of playing and make it a bit unique.
Okay. So when you came to Germany, probably you had a few challenges with respect to music career. Were there any significant hurdles when you just arrived, or was it a smooth process?
I would say it was pretty smooth
Mm-hmm.
because I was fortunate that the Indian community here are
Mm-hmm.
pretty welcoming to all artists and non-artists as well. But as artists, I think we had a good platform established, and they were very welcoming to invite me and ask me
Mm-hmm.
to perform and gave me the opportunity to showcase a little bit of the talent that I had from back in India. So that way, I think it was really good and smooth for me to. It took me about 3, 4 months. So by the time I could actually open up a bank account in Germany, I was already giving my first performance, I can
Mm-hmm.
say. So that was a good way for me to transition into the music scene here. But as a musician itself, of course, it is very challenging because to reach out to the larger mass is something that we are also getting into only now,
Mm-hmm.
and only through the associations or let's say meetups that we have with different musicians, it helps us to explore these opportunities and collaborate with them and perform.
What are your future goals as an artist and also as a business professional?
Well, to begin with career, I would
Mm-hmm.
say to get a better role, of course, in the finance field as such. Right now, I'm working more focused towards finance operations, and definitely would like to explore other related roles and grow more towards, let's say, becoming a CFO or more
Mm-hmm.
towards management,
Mm-hmm.
senior management level. That being said, with regards to music, there is always continuous learning. So I cannot definitely say that there is one end goal as such,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say reaching out to a lot more Europeans as such to spread Indian music is something that I have in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and really collaborate with different styles of music when we are here outside of our country
Mm-hmm.
is something that I would look forward to.
When you came to Germany, maybe you had some perceptions of how life would be, or maybe music would work along with your job or as a student. Was it the same at the end of the day, what you thought, or did it pan out differently?
Well, like I said, the more inspiration I had
Mm-hmm.
from my cousin to come to Germany was the reason I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a perception of how his journey was in
Mm-hmm.
Germany as a student. So I think it was a bit different because I thought it would be more closed cultured as such,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would take a lot more time
Mm-hmm.
for me to perform, for me to meet people. But when
Mm-hmm.
I arrived here, I think music opened up a lot of opportunities for me to, talk to people, to collaborate with people. So in that sense, it really helped. But also at the end of the day, since it's not the only career that I have, it is a bit of a challenge to, have the same perception I had in India that,
Mm-hmm.
the career aspect of it here is definitely different from what we had in India. So it gives me a lot more time,
Mm-hmm.
and I can balance my work as well as music in a better manner here.
Mm-hmm.
And also for that, I think you need to have a supportive company, supportive manager, and all that environment put together. That is something that I really felt was a new thing compared to the Indian working aspect of it.
What if you have a chance to give one advice to all the people who come to a foreign country to study or work and somehow stop their passion, what would it be?
Well, I would say first things first, get back to a routine
Mm-hmm.
of performing or get back to a routine of practicing. Of course, it gets difficult coming to another country because there's a lot more things to figure out before you can get into it. But I think that helps to build a routine first and then meet people of like-minded thought who want to also pursue such a passion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of motivates you also to stay in a country outside of your comfort zone, and helps you to, it might be there are a couple of sad days, couple of happy days you have when you're outside of your comfort zone. So I think something of an additional passion that you have when you try to pursue that, it would enrich your happiness as such. So that is something that I would definitely advise people.
Okay. And if you have a chance to go back in time, probably 3 years before, and probably know one thing or change one thing with respect to probably your musical career or MBA, what would it be if you have something?
Honestly, I wouldn't change anything because the way that we
Mm-hmm.
have come across now in the journey is something is very fulfilling for me, I would say. And of course, a long, long way to go ahead with both career as well as music. So all the learnings, what I've had from the previous experiences is what I'm applying now, and which has got me here. So if I change something, I think those learnings also would change. But so far, it's been positive, and I would take that forward as
To all the viewers who are watching this, Amit Nayak also performed when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to Munich. So, how was that experience when you got an invitation to perform?
that was actually really spontaneous and really well taken for us because I had just arrived. I think it had been about a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the first performance we had at the Indian community here in Munich, it gave us the opportunity to be showcased as one of the musician communities here,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped us to put together a group of musicians to come together and perform. And we had an audition where we had to go perform,
Mm-hmm.
and people would look at us, see if we are actually good or not. And I think that kind of helped us to also reach out to other artists here,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the reason we had like a collaboration between two different groups of musicians put together. And a friend of mine who also plays violin, his name is Mahati Bhargavapuri.
Mm-hmm.
So he's back in India now, but a really well established musician. So the both of us had ideas of performing as a band. That's when we collaborated and then made sure that we're going forward as a band to perform for this event. Overall experience was really good because we definitely got to perform in front of such a big audience as well. That was also about 2,500 to 3,000 people put together. So I would say another big audience performance as such in Germany. And I really enjoyed the fact that nobody had the ego or
Mm-hmm.
nobody had the thought of, hey, listen, I need to be highlighted better, or
Mm-hmm.
I need to be showcased better as such. So that was something that was a unique experience right in the beginning of coming to another country, and I really cherished the time.
I think more or less it's just the beginning of your new journey in Germany. So, uh, congratulations for what you have achieved until now and
Thank you.
all the wishes for the future.
Thank you so
To all
much.
the viewers who are watching this, please like the Raga Collective Instagram page and also follow them for their work. And probably you can get in touch with Amit or the band itself on their Instagram and other websites. So, thank you once again for joining in for the podcast and giving us wonderful insights about how a life looks like as a musician and while also working in Germany. It's not an easy task to come to a different country, settle in, study, work while following your passion. So this is something very commendable, and it's our pleasure to have you here on
Thank
one of
you.
the podcasts. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Also a pleasure that I'm here, and best wishes to the entire team for making this happen and inviting me. So kudos to you, Kiran, and the entire team.
If you like this episode, if you like the content of this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, see you. Bye.